The question for me as a writer in the beginning was that it was extraordinary because everything on the streets had meaning after 9/11. So you'd look at a fire hydrant, for instance, and it seemed intimately connected to everything. The fire hydrant went down into the pipes, which went down into the city, which went down to the World Trade Center, which went up into those people's lives who had been there. I'm not so sure that we should lay special claim to the fact that 9/11 influenced an artist more than, say, the Troubles in Northern Ireland, or more or less than the Troubles in Northern Ireland, or any sort of spectacular sadness or any spectacular incident in history. I mean, it happened, and therefore it continually happens, and therefore we have to react to it. I mean, an artist does not have to respond to 9/11. An artist doesn't have any responsibility except to his or her canvas or her characters, and they can be of any ilk. I don't ask people to make pronouncements. In fact, pronouncements are completely uninteresting in general. Pronouncements are for politicians, I think. And as a writer, what you want to do is get in and talk about recovery and talk about grace and talk about the sadness that was there as well. My father-in-law was in the first building to be hit, the second building to come down. He got out. When my father-in-law came home and my daughter jumped up into his arms and said, she thought that he was burning because she could smell the smoke coming off his clothes, and then she said, well, he was burning from the inside out. It was like she was 4 years old at the time. The moment she said that, I knew that eventually, someday, I would be trying to make sense of that particular feeling. I would never have written "Let the Great World Spin" unless 9/11 had happened. Shortly after 9/11, I was looking around, thinking about how eventually I would write about this, and I read Paul Auster's essay about Philippe Petit, the tightrope walker who went across the World Trade Center towers in '74. And I thought, that's it. That's the way that eventually I will try to come to terms with 9/11 by working on this sort of thing as a metaphor. So I would not have written the book about a tightrope walker going across the World Trade Center towers unless the towers had come down, because in that magnificent sort of way, art puts them back up there, puts the towers back up. When I go down now which I don't do very often, downtown to look at the towers, I look up and I still sort of see Philippe Petit in the air. Obviously, he did it once and he's gone, but memory and imagination sort of collide with one another, and you can put those towers back up in the air. And I think that's sort of the duty or the function or the beauty of art.